Okay. All right. We are live streaming. Yes, we are. Good job. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Kiersten Hall with Pointe Publishing again. We are coming to you live with another happy hour virtual book launch. And this evening's guest of honor is Helen Holder. Say hi, Helen.
Hello.
She came out with a new book just, a week or two ago. It's called David's Pretzels. And she's going to read us probably about 3, 4, 5 pages. She can't give the whole book away, you know. But she's got a couple pages, and I'm actually going to show you right now. I put my printer to the use today. She, in August, has another book coming out. It's called An Unusual Tale. These are all books that are for about ages 4 to 8. So An Unusual Tale. And then in September, I think it is, she's got Gloria Skirty's Fabulous Fireworks. That's coming out in September. And then about October, we have Sleepover with Grandma. And I'm pretty sure Helen might be the instigating grandma in this story. And then November, we have I Painted a Magenta Flamingo. And she's actually got 2 other books. We don't have the covers yet on those, but expect to see those December, maybe into January, or doubling up one of those months. All right, so that is Helen. Our next author that has another book she has her first book coming out actually in about 24 to 48 hours is AJ Sullivan. You want to say hi and show what you got in the mail today?
Hi, I got this, my first ever published book. I've done a lot of writing, just not books.
So she's got a soft cover and a hardcover of that, and the Bobby Bear series is actually, what, a 10, 12 book series. That's her first book, is Bobby Bear Goes Fishing, and she actually has her virtual book launch on Tuesday, July 28th, 6 p.m., same time, same place, on July 28th.
Same bat channel.
Yeah, exactly, same bat channel. And then Thea Kvamme, she has a book coming out by July 30th, so about 2 more weeks. And Mouse Draken, Curse the Laxness. And do you want to just quick tell us what that's all about?
It's about Alzheimer's. It was in memory of my mom, and it's Mr. Mousie's little adventure. His name is Mouse Draken.
It is a fabulous book. It's about 60 pages long too, and yeah, so it's a big book. But Mouse Draken, it's very pretty. It's all fantasy done. And then Paula, who just had her virtual book launch, has it been about a month? Oh wow! Okay, yep. All right. So her 2 books. You want to tell us about those?
Days of Days is things like, plugged up sinks, things like that. And Night Maze is things like, what do you do when the children are grown? What is left for mama? All in poetic form.
Exactly. And then actually, myself, I write books too. And one of which is Jelly Beans. That actually came out about a year ago, and I'm giving one of these away. Basically, jelly beans reminding us that we are all basically the same in the big candy dish of life. And I'm also giving away one of my first book, actually. I used to shoot professional wedding videography. So you think Bridezilla, they're all in here, all those stories. All true. I left the names out. Anyway, so what we are doing tonight is we should be on for about 40, 45 minutes. We have a game. I'm giving away 1 free book between Jelly Beans. I do 3 David's Pretzels, 1 Days of Days, 1 Night Maze, and 1 Tossie's Diary of Secrets from Carmen Tribbett. What you need to do is we have our IT guy on here who is tracking who's asking questions and getting names, and he's going to just randomly draw from all the people who are asking questions. So if you ask a question, you earn a chance to win a free book, and then I will get a hold of you and I'll get an address and I'll send you a free book. It's great. If you happen to be an international winner though, I am going to give you a free Amazon Kindle because postage would probably kill me. So anyway, All right, so we're going to get off and running. So Helen, if you want to start reading or talking about your book or talking about how you got into writing and all that good fun stuff. And then Brad, if you want to start, Brad is the Wizard of Oz that's watching all of this. Brad, if you want to start letting me know about questions and pick a winner's name every 5 minutes, please. The first book we will draw for is one of David's Pretzels. All right, go. Helen, you're up.
Well, I have a son named David, and he used to actually take pretzels and crunch them up. So that was kind of the inspiration for the story. So it's David ate the pretzels, crunch, crunch, crunch. Then he asked his mama, what letters did I munch? She said, A is for an antimacassar, B is for a beak, C is for the crocodiles crawling to the creek. D is for delightful, E for everyday, F is for the filberts we find along the way. So on each page, there's one word that's kind of probably unknown. So at the back of the book, then there's a glossary to tell you what the words are and what their meaning is. So I'm kind of encouraging people. I like to read the dictionary. Just find words that tickle your fancy. So that's kind of the focus. Look up these words and find out what they mean. So antimacassar, that was a piece of cloth that people put on the backs of their chairs because the men had a lot of macassar oil on their hair. So you put that on there to protect your chair. And filbert is another name for a hazelnut. Some of the other words in here are galoshes and iguana and jabairu. All the pictures actually have a jabairu in them.
I had no idea that there was even a bird called that.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
so
if you read the dictionary, that's what you find out.
you find all sorts of things. Well, we have
Right.
we have two questions right now. One is from Corey Danielson, who actually happens to be one of our illustrators. And he is curious, are all of these books available as Sweet Reads in Austin?
Well, mine is. My neighbor bought one today from Sweet
Very
Reads.
good, very good.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, actually, Corey, all of these books are available at Sweet Reads. Lisa over in Austin over here is very supportive of all the local authors. She does an excellent bang-up job on keeping things stock and up to date and being involved. So a huge thank you to Lisa. But all of these books are also on a variety of EPUB formats and select stores that carry it, and then of course online and all that. However, I will say that if you happen to have a local independent bookstore in your neighborhood, please, they can order the books and they can get a hold of me. It's not hard to get a hold of me. And I will fill them in. There's wholesale ordering for bookstores, retailers, librarians, education, that kind of thing. And then retail all over the place too on all of these books. So yeah, but please try to support your local independent bookstore if you have one. All right, and then we have another question. Isabella is somewhere in your room or in your house, Thea. She wants, all right, Helen, of your books that you've got so far, which book is your favorite of all the different books you've written?
This is sort of like asking which is your favorite child.
Oh.
I think probably Sleepover with Grandma is probably my favorite, just because it's actually not like the kind of grandma I am, but
The kind of grandma you want to be?
maybe, yeah, just be a lot freer than I am.
All right. And then Vicki Boyson, actually, she said, not a question, just, but Vicki Boyson, your friend, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes.
My books came today, such a fun book. I have pretzels and I'm waiting for the grandkids to come over, which, by the way, is true. Get David's Pretzels, get a big bag of pretzels and get the book and then have fun. I mean, it's a great idea. How old was David?
Her son, one of her sons is the same age as David.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, they're good friends. So it was fun that when the books got started announcing, that son said, "Oh, is this A is for inanimate caster?" So he's remembered that for like 30 years.
Okay, so he's the one. I saw that
Oh yeah.
go through, and I'm like, Anna, what? It was a new one for me. All right, and then okay, so Corey Danielson is the first winner. Brad has chosen. So Corey, you're going to get a copy of David's Pretzels, and you're going to learn all sorts of words you've never ever heard before. Because unless you read dictionaries too.
That's right.
That could happen. Anyway, all right. Here's another question from Michelle Swank. Do you have more than one child? Have you, or do you plan on writing more using your children's names?
I don't know. No, none of the other kids gave me anything to get me started, but some of the grandkids have.
Okay. So there might, and I've been thinking about that. We're so busy putting together, by the way, hashtag the Helen Holder collection. Really, you have a hashtag. Anyway, but I was thinking, we go through these first 7 books, and then what? You got to keep writing. Hop on it.
Well, I do. In an unusual tale, I ended it with "That's a story for another night." So I guess I have to write that sequel. So that's I'm
true.
working on that one.
All right. Okay. And then Vicki asks again, Helen, did you illustrate any of your books?
Just David's Pretzels.
Yes. And she did an awesome job.
The rest of them, I have too many people in them, so I couldn't, I'm not that good at drawing people.
I understand that. All right.
And so I'm giving that job to somebody else. And boy, are they coming up with good ideas.
Oh yeah, beautiful ideas. All right, so AJ, do you have a question for Helen to keep things going?
Yes, don't they make pretzels that are in alphabet shapes? I'm pretty sure I've seen that before.
Do they?
I think so.
These are all
That would be the perfect companion.
The ones that David used to choose.
Okay.
Well, the alphabet ones would be the perfect companion to go with your book.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very cool. All right, Isabella Gerleman also came in with, what inspired you to get your books published? And I'll add to that, when did you start writing?
Most of these things were written like in the 1900s. 1991 is when I wrote David's Pretzels. And at that time, for publishing, well, you needed to have an agent as well as a publisher, and I didn't know who any agents were or anything. So I had drawn the pictures for David's Pretzels, and I was trying to get my printer to print off whatever I wanted. And Amazon has things, but they weren't really, they're more to people that want to print off their own novels. So then I saw Carmen Trivet, actually. I saw, her publisher is Pointe, and isn't that housing development out there in Austin called Pointe? And so I looked them up, and I had an appointment with Kiersten and Chelsea. And they just took it right up right away. And I had brought the other books with me too, just in case. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of handed them off at the end of our meeting, and they're, yeah. So next thing I know, my whole life changed. I have another job.
Well, yeah. I mean, we met with you right before quarantine hit. It was like March. The first week of March. And, but your manuscripts, we were having a hard time keeping up with the conversation with you and Bill, because we were reading your manuscripts going, oh, look at these. Because we could already see the books, So we're like, oh yes, let's do this. And so here we are, 3.5 months later?
Yes.
And boy, and you've got, well, again, hashtag the Helen Holder collection. You got to do that. There you go. All right. So, okay. Well, so would that be all of what inspired you to get your books published? Well, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much
it. Okay, so that's for Isabella. All right, Brad, do we have another winner? Well, while he's working on that, Thea, do you have a question for Helen?
Well, you took one of my questions.
Sorry.
What was the first book that you wrote?
Well, out of the ones that are getting published, is David's Pretzels is the first one.
Okay.
I have some other things that I'd written before, not necessarily books. Oh, I mean, the funniest one is Glorious Gertie's Fabulous Fireworks, because on a trip to Florida, I saw some fireworks store with some name. And so while Bill and my son were off playing golf, I was sitting in the RV in the park and I was writing this story about these fireworks and this. I lost it. I have no idea where I wrote it. And then, so I rewrote the story. I lost it again. So I don't even remember for sure what the name of the original person was. I had to come up with my own when I wrote it the third time. Probably the first one and the second one were really, really, really great. But
I don't know. Matter of fact, Kayla, who did your illustrating or will be doing the rest of your illustrating, she did the book cover for Fireworks.
Yeah.
She said that's her favorite.
oh, that's good.
Yeah. All right. So the next winner is Isabella. And I didn't really quite. Thea, what do you think, Isabella? Which book do you think she'd like to get?
She likes anything.
Okay. Would she be good with, oh, how old is she?
14.
This is a funny, humorous one.
She'd
Would
like
she,
that.
Would she be good with that one? All right. So
Yeah.
Isabella, you get I Do. It's got a couple hundred stories of what can go wrong at a wedding. Yeah, I have shot 1,403 weddings in my life. I've seen it all. Okay, the next drawing we will do is for Tassi's Diary of Secrets from Carmen Tribbett. And this is a good book for ages 3 to 7. It's a cute story about Carmen's dog Tassi, which is the whole Monster Dog book series, which is also a hashtag, by the way. All right, Paula, do you have a question for Helen? And for the rest of everyone in internet land, come up with some other questions, because I've got 6 other books to give away. All right, go.
Yeah, Helen, I was wondering if Tassi likes pretzels.
I don't know. I've never. Tassi is Carmen's dog, not mine.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, Tassi is Carmen's dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
that's right. That's right. Well, there we go.
There, now we know.
Does Bill like pretzels?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think we have 2 giant bags right now in the pantry. So
I always walk by them and I'm like, oh, I'd love to have some, you know, either the soft warm ones or the crunchy hard ones or whatever. And I keep going. Although my shopping cart tends to veer towards the chocolate chip cookies, but that's a whole nother story. Never mind. All right. And let's see, questions. Well, yeah, that my big question is like, how many more books do you think you have? I know we have a finishing book we have to do. Do you see yourself always writing children's books, or are there any other fiction?
well, I've written some other things that are not books, book length, but some. Well, no, there was one published in Austin Living about Amish friendship bread.
Okay. What is Amish friendship bread?
That's one of those where you keep the bag full of stuff on your counter, and then you have to feed it and you have to massage it, and then you bake bread, but then you have to make new rounds and you have to give it to your friends, and so
And yeah, and your friends run and hide.
right, yes. So that's what the article, so to speak, was about, was how you become a slave to this horrible stuff.
Is this kind of like fruitcake, you know, where it keeps getting gifted from house to house, or no?
Well, except that you're just gifting the dough, the sourdough starter.
So
And it's, so you can't get rid of it. So it has lines in it, like I had visions of putting the bag in the sink and stabbing it and watching its life ooze down the drain. And
wow. Wow.
You have to write that one. You must write that one, Helen, please.
Yeah.
Well, that was published in the Austin Living last year.
Well, I would love to, if you ever want to expand upon that and write some, I mean, okay, wow. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so you've never had to deal with this before.
No, I haven't. No, I have not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes good bread, but there's a limit.
It does. Yes.
All right. AJ, do you have another question for Helen?
So what, you said you had other things that you've written, but they're not books besides the bread, which we've all been through. Well, most of us, the youngins have not. So what else have you written that could be expanded into a book?
I don't know if I wrote one about visiting a graveyard when I was a little girl, and one about a first grader, and she was late for the bus, but she didn't want to take the late bus, so she thinks she can walk home, and just how frightening that gets to be before she gets to her house.
I actually did that. My brother and I was a kindergartner and he was in first grade in the middle of winter in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was bad.
Rachel, it just the walk home is a lot longer than she expected, and she gets a lot tireder, and then she has to cross actually Oakland Avenue, and it's really, really busy, and no patrols are because she's late. And
There you
so I say that's kind of like fear.
go. All right. Okay. Vicky is the next winner. So she won a copy of Carmen Tribbett's The Monster Dog, Tossie's Diary of Secrets. And I still have Vicky's address since I just sent
All
her
right.
some books just a few days ago. So I will get those out to Vicky tomorrow. The next book coming up again is another of David's Pretzels. And we have a question from Carmen Tribbett. Helen, I know you were a teacher. What did you teach and for what number of years?
Well, I say in my little bio that I was in first grade for 34 years. 33 of those as a teacher, but
Which is good.
I always taught first grade, although once in a while I had a combination first and second.
Okay. And someone had asked you before, did you write any questions about any stories about your students?
Well, Rachel was a student.
Okay. All right. And all right, Paula, okay, so Thea, you're next. Do you have another question for Helen?
Did you ever think about giving up on your dream of writing?
Well, no, I just kept writing. I was kind of giving up on the ever publishing anything, but just thinking, well, okay, I can just run these off on the computer if I could just draw pictures good enough to. But that's about. So I would say probably, yeah, I kind of gave up on the dream, but it's still back there in the back of your head. So when the opportunity came, then send an email off to Fox Pointe.
Yep.
Well, it's funny when you, being that AJ, Helen, and myself are in Austin. And when I got Helen's email, I'm like, Helen Holder. Why do I know? It was bothering me. I'm like, why do I know this? And then when we met, she's like, I'm the lady in town that has 900 plus nativity sets. And she sets up her entire house as a tourist attraction. I'm like, and that's why I know your name. I mean, you can't get away from that. Do you want to tell everyone about your nativity sets?
Have I ever written one about them?
Well, or do you want to how did you get into collecting them?
Well, when I started, I was just going to get one every Christmas. But then once I started looking at nativity sets and I found out, oh my goodness, there are so many different kinds, so many different materials. Now I'm up to 950.
These things happen.
Right. I'm trying to be really, really good now and not add, except if they're very unusual or maybe from some country I don't have represented.
Well, where do you store them?
Most of them are in the basement.
Okay.
Actually, our basement collapsed several years ago and we had to put in a new basement. So
Wow.
I have a really nice basement.
Okay. Well, very cool. All right. So next winner for the David's Pretzels is Michelle Swank. So
good.
she's got that book coming. And then, all right, the next book I'm going to give away is a copy of Days of Days. And this is by Paula Morhardt. And okay. And then Corey's got a question. Did they give you, your students, did they give you a lot of ideas dealing with first graders for that long? And, you know, as far as writing books. So not
Well,
maybe.
actually, the book that Corey is illustrating about tongues,
Uh-huh.
that came from a conversation with kids.
Okay. Yeah,
Talking about dogs' tongues and how they're so wet and gooey.
Mm-hmm. No, he's been doing a great job coming up with a variety of the sketch work. And as soon as he gets the green light on that, he's going to be putting that together. So that book will probably be out either November or December, just in time for Christmas.
So I just started with just statements about different kinds of animal tongues. And then they wanted to, Kiersten and Chelsea thought, oh, it should be expanded a little bit. So, boy, I know more about tongues than I ever thought I would ever know.
So do I, and Chelsea and Corey and Becca will be putting it together for you. So yeah, we know, who knew?
Yeah.
All right. And let's see, Paula, do you have another question?
Yeah. How old were you when you started to write?
Well, now I have to subtract because probably I didn't do a lot of writing before 1990. We had a writing group of teachers at our school at Nevlin, and so I had done a little bit before that. So that's let's see, that's when I'm 50.
So you didn't write when you were younger, like as a child?
Not a whole lot. I think the only things that I have that I remember, I wrote a silly poem in high school, and then it was kind of a parody of The Streets of Laredo, but it was about a teacher instead of a cowboy. And then in college, for an assignment, we had to write some poetry, and I wrote one that was a really, really difficult meter. So it was hard to, that was actually about a novel that was written probably in the 1800s about Leonardo da Vinci. So it was kind of a really weird poem with a very weird meter, and it was hard to get it all fit in there, but.
Well, that would be an interesting one to see. Do you still have all the writings you did way back when?
I have those two,
Okay.
I think, somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. In the basement with all the 950
Well,
crossing.
not here up in the closet, but.
Oh, okay. All right. We've got someone else typing in here. Well, I'm watching my phone. This is where I'm getting all the questions. So I'm still here. But anyway, all right. Oh, Carmen is the next winner. So she gets a copy of Days of Days. And there we go. All right. Congratulations, Carmen. You will enjoy this. And then, of course, the next book we're giving away is The Beautiful Night Maze, which is also another 23 poems. And all right, so for those of you who are just joining us right now, the rule of the game here is if you can come up with a question, you earn a chance at winning a book. And so this is the second to last book is Night Maze, and then we're going to give one more book of David's Pretzels away. So, all right, get the questions coming in for Helen. All right, AJ, do you have another question?
So when you were older, at least when you started writing, there was a computer, but not when you went to college. You had to type it on a
Right.
typewriter.
You're right, or write it in a notebook somewhere.
And you had to transpose everything into a computer program from a crusty old piece of paper.
Right.
I know that because that happened to me too.
Oh, well, even more fun is doing the editing and then finding out whatever I did, I lost it all.
Oh
Mhm.
dear.
So
Yeah.
I always do it over here on my copy as well as on the Google Docs, so I can at least have something to go back to.
Exactly. You push the one wrong button, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, where did it go? I don't know.
I'm like one of the, you know how like sometimes you wonder if you've locked your car door, so you kind of go back and forth. I'm always hitting save. I mean, my poor computer has more saves on it. All right, so Vicki has another question. Can you tell about some of your favorite Christmas letter themes?
Oh, right.
Oh, you do Christmas letters.
Well, yeah, I do Christmas letters, but well, I did one with that was a box of crayons. So each person in the family had a little crayon in the box with whatever they were doing, you know, whatever news about that family. One year I did like the broadside for a traveling circus. So each person in the family had something to do with some circus act. I've done one with Christmas tree, with a big Christmas tree shape, and then the ornaments on the tree were tied to what the different family members were doing.
So do you cut these out and make these, or how do you?
Well, yeah, or print them, or.
Okay.
So the Christmas tree ornament one, I went out and got stickers. So it just
Okay.
had a plain Christmas tree on the paper with then the stickers stuck on there.
Okay. Wow, you put a lot of
Oh,
thought into
yeah,
it.
well, I know, but then now it's like, oh, I did one with a weather report one time. So so just had a lot of list of different kinds of weather for what each family member is doing. One time was about traveling, so it was a map.
Mm-hmm.
They live all over the United States, so.
Very cool.
What
That's-
else have I
Very, very creative.
oh, tire recall. So everybody was a different Firestone tire why they were being recalled. And real estate ad one time.
Okay. My gosh, you get creative. I suppose you have, 360 days in advance to think about something.
Well, yes, but then you have to.
Well, yeah, you have to put it
Then you have to
together.
come up without making it too hard or too big to fit in the envelope. Or
Okay.
I did fairy tales one time, so there was a fairy tale for each member of the family.
All right. Well,
Really short one.
Once upon a time, that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Get to Christmas dinner on time. Thank you very much. All right. Speaking of fairy tales, Thea, do you have another question?
Who's your favorite author?
Oh, well, it's children's authors, of course. So I like Tommy de Paula and Cynthia Rylant and Dr. Seuss. I prefer his early ones to his later ones, but the Hobens, Russell and Lillian Hoban. My very all-time favorite story is An Elephant's Child by Rudyard Kipling. So that's one I love. That's another one with, he uses a lot of different words. But
Okay.
the elephant's child goes down to the great gray greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees. So I like to read that one out loud to the kids.
Well, that reminds me. Thea, do you have, what's that story you were telling us about?
Tiki Tiki Tembo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Tiki, 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 timbo, no saw Rambo, Charlie.
Oh, she knows it too. Okay.
Yep, see? It's one you'll never forget if you read it.
Right.
Well, yeah, Thea ran it off. I'm like, excuse me, what? I mean, I think I'd heard it, but I mean, she went flying through it, and I'm like, okay. All right. Cheri Hanson has a question. All right. Are your stories based on real life events?
Well, let's see, David's Pretzel is, and the sleepover with Grandma. What else? I painted a magenta flamingo. That's a grandchild actually painting a magenta flamingo.
Okay.
So some of them, usually it's just one little thing that some child said to me.
Okay. And it just sparked right
Yeah.
there. All right. Next winner is Cheri Hanson. So Cheri, you get a copy of Night Maze. And all right, we are going to give one more copy of David's Pretzels away as I hit myself in the face with it. So that's good. And we have a question. Okay, I have two questions. One is from Carmen Tribbett. Helen, what are you going to write next? And I will say that Carmen just finished a book this last weekend. She's on her, this will be her sixth book. But anyway, what are you going to write next?
Well, I'm working on an Unusual Tale sequel because, as I said, I finished that one up with That's a Story for Another Night. So I guess I have to, I'm forced into that one. But then I also have one, because one grandchild, his mother said, oh, he's our rainbow finder.
Oh,
So
very
Josiah
cool.
the rainbow finder.
Okay.
And that's
All
pretty
right.
much the ones I've gotten some idea of where they're going to go.
Okay.
I have one about floofles that I haven't gotten anywhere, but I don't know how I came up with that word, but that's just tickled me. So
Is it in a dictionary?
I know I think it's a made up word.
It's a made up word. Okay.
Yeah.
It's in Helen's made up word dictionary.
Right.
All right. Daniel Swank says, what does your son David think of his newfound fame if it's about David, right? So yeah.
Yes. Daniel is another one of David's good friends.
Okay.
And he's his usual self. Not going to show me that he's too excited, but he did take home one signed. So.
Okay. All right. And
he has mentioned it to some other people, so he's probably about as excited as he's going to get.
well, you know, if anyone notices that he's the David of David's Pretzels, he's going to have to come up with a hashtag too, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
He'll have a whole following in Austin. He lives in Austin, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then actually,
known as Mr. David on his bus, I think.
okay. And then actually, I've got a question. One of my friends, actually, Gail Wyant, wants to know when I'm going to write my next book. Well, I have The Blue Frog is coming out in September. I have a coloring book for Jelly Beans, a coloring and activity book coming out for Jelly Beans coming out also in September. I have 2 or 3 other children's books being illustrated right now. And sometime I will get that 3rd book of Corner Confessions done and get that wrapped up. And it was supposed to be out like the end of 2020, but you know, I get busy. Like with all of these lovely ladies, I get busy, you know, there's just not enough time in a day. And, but yeah, that last book has been being pieced together and should have about 21 different confessions in it and some loose ends tied up. And then that whole Corner Confession series will be finished. And actually, I am contemplating turning that into a script and possibly shopping around to like Netflix or Hulu, because I think it'd be, you know, some must-see TV. Yeah, I've got to do this. Must-see TV. So anyway, but we'll see how that goes, because I get busy because I have all these wonderful ladies that I work with. And I've got also Dean Newland, and I have 1 or 2 other guys coming on as well. So I get busy, but we'll get to it. Anyway, let me get my phone. My phone just went to sleep here. Okay, so Gail is the next winner, and she gets the last copy of David's Pretzels. And all right, so that is everything. I've run out of books. I've given away 8 books, I think I have. And anyone else have any questions for Helen? Paula?
I do. Helen, I'm just dipping my toe into the children's book world. Any words as I swim ahead into this?
I think you just have to be a little bit of a kid yourself, but I think you have to be careful not to talk down to kids because they really can figure out a lot of vocabulary because they already have their vocabulary for listening is a lot greater than their reading vocabulary or their speaking vocabulary. So
Okay,
you put in
thank
a
you.
few big words in there.
And if you're going to teach them morals, don't make it super obvious.
Yeah.
Right.
What were you going to say, Paula?
Well, I took a children's writers class, and one of my stories was very much Mama was teaching him a moral lesson, and my teacher come down on me with both feet. So I know not to do that one.
Well, you can make the book, but whether it sells or not is a whole other story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when he pointed it out, I realized the way it sounded was not good for a child. So yeah, I'm just dipping my toe into this. We'll see how it goes. I like poetry better.
Well, I will say though that we got Paula's first children's book manuscript probably a month ago or so, and it's fun. So it will, but it'll be a probably like a March, April,
Yeah.
May 2021. But it should be fun. It's definitely looking promising. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you to everyone that joined us tonight for Helen Holder's happy hour virtual book launch for David's Pretzels. That's a mouthful right there. You don't even need pretzels in your mouth, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to Helen Holder, our guest of honor. And then we have AJ Sullivan. She is going to have, I will put the event link up. She is going to be doing her book launch here on July 28th, same time, same place, the whole routine, and we'll have guest authors on it. I will be giving away more books. And then about 2 weeks after that, Thea is going to come on with her book launch, probably the beginning of August. Her book comes out about July 30th. That's the Mousetrack one for Alzheimer's. And that's actually starts a whole nother book series for her that she's got. And Paula's book is coming out, her next book is coming out at the beginning of 2021, and she's opening up the whole new door of children's books and all that. And I know she has tons of poetry. Have you seen her office?
Cabinet,
yeah. Have you seen her office? Anyway, and now you guys, of course, have all known what I am up to when I am not busy with the wonderful authors that we work with. And thank you very much for joining us. I am actually going to be putting this onto YouTube as well. You can find it on the Fox Point Publishing YouTube channel. And if you could subscribe, that would be fabulous. And our website is foxpointpublishing.com, and it's got absolutely everything you wanted to know and all the buy links and reviews and what it's about. I mean, everything in the kitchen sink is on that website. Anyway, all right. Thank you to everyone out in the internet world. Thank you to all you lovely ladies, and we will see you guys later. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.